Go out and be clever and unique and do the things that you like and focus on those instead of force yourself to do the things you don't want to do. I'm a big proponent on doing the easy things, but also the things that you're going to enjoy. Just get creative and unique.
Welcome to Real Estate Leadership Unlocked. I'm Debbie Lariviere, founder of Monter Coaching, where we help brokerage owners, independent firm leaders, and team leads develop scalable and profitable businesses built on strategy, clarity, and performance. This conversation will get you thinking differently. Whether you're a seasoned broker, emerging leader, or the one making the next key hire, unlock transparently what it takes to lead in real estate today. Greatness is ahead. Welcome all. It's good to see everyone today. I am Debbie Lariviere and I've got Allie Parker here with me today. All righty. So here we are, $1 Million Growth Strategies in Real Estate with Allie Parker. Who would have thought that, Allie Parker? 4 years ago, I started working with Allie as a coaching client. She'd come off a team and decided that she wanted to build her own enterprise. And the very first call, and she probably has a less fond memory of this. Our very first call, I said, Allie, you have to hire someone. And that was the point in which she's like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. However, Allie has grown her business to over $1 million in GCI in the last year. 4 or 5 years in the business. She was 30 under 30 a couple of years ago. So has experienced extreme success. She works over at Hodge & Kittrell Sotheby's in Raleigh, North Carolina. So all of you that are outside of the area, if you need a Raleigh referral, we've got several Raleigh people here, but we've got Allie here. She's the speaker. So she gets the props for today. And, you know, one thing I love about Allie is that she, and why she is ideal for this topic is because she is very systematized and very intentional in what she does in her business. And I always say, you know, I can give you the guidance. I can't do the push-ups for you. You have to do your own push-ups. And Allie is that person that would take it, run, do the push-ups, come back and ask for more. And so when you think about success, it's being willing to do the activities. And it's also making changes in your business as life comes at you that you'll learn about with Allie today and all the things that she's facing in achieving her 2025 goals. So Allie, what would you like to add about yourself? And I'll let you hit lead off a little bit more about you and your business.
Yeah, thank you so much. Most of y'all know me. A lot of my friends are here, so thank y'all for showing up. But yes, I am based out of the Raleigh, Cary market, born and raised in the area. So super blessed to run a referral and basically sphere-based business. So happy to talk more about that. I started on my own in 2021 and have been a full-time individual agent with an assistant since then, since Debbie made me hire somebody. Recently hired my second employee, a part-time employee who's doing some more of the marketing and running for us, but ended last year at 84 transactions, over 54 million in volume, just with me and my full-time assistant, Mary Jo, who's awesome. So excited to be here outside of real estate. I love wine. My husband and I are WSET certified. We love to run. I'm a marathoner, and we love to go to the beach. So one day I'll be Debbie.
Yes, you will. Absolutely. Maybe with Debbie. Who knows? Well, thanks for sharing that, Allie. To kick us off, I know one of the things that we want to learn more about is how you're doing it with your database and networking, as well as some systems that you've built. We always want all of you to walk away with action items that you can go and implement into your business today, not just hear about her successes. So when you think about database networking, I will share a little secret. If I said to Allie, hey, Allie, your requirement for this week is to go call 40 people, she wouldn't do it.
What do you call one?
And that's fair, right? Because we all have to figure out how we can work within our comfort zones and still grow our big businesses like Allie has over the past several years. So when you think about your business being database and networking, take us back a little bit. You got into the industry and you've been building what you've built through your sphere of influence and that sort of thing. How are you growing that and how are you consistently adding to that database such that your business is continuing to grow as well?
Yeah, great question. And I'll start off by saying last year was my first year where I truly the majority of my business came from strictly just past clients. So something's working, right? A lot of those started as fear. And then once they buy or sell with us, they become a past client. But I will be very honest in that this is my marketing plan. It is a 1-page written document. And it mainly focuses on a couple things, and all of which are systematized. We're big on gifting. So when it comes to home anniversaries or referrals, you can almost always expect a gift from us, whether it be a Starbucks gift card, quarterly pop by. Home anniversaries are a big thing, just because it's the excuse, once a year to touch base with people, see what they're thinking. Everything we do is not really real estate driven. So if you get a mailer from us, which we do 4 mailers a year, which started this year, it'll be things like, hey, spring cleaning's coming up. Like, here's what we recommend for gutters. We never ask, like, are you looking to buy or sell? Or is that something that you're thinking about, or your family or whatever is in the future? It's just very hands off. Hey, I'm here to be a resource, and hope that they remember that. A lot of that comes with social media as well. We intentionally follow everybody on social media and get a lot of generation that way. None of it is paid, but all of it is scheduled. So Monday afternoons, we schedule posts for the week. And that's kind of when it comes to lead generation follow-up and whatnot, whether it be a Christmas card or Christmas ornament or whatever it is. Between gifting, social, and mailers, those are the biggies. So we keep it stupid simple.
I love it. When you think about those mailers, what are some of the, like you said, you're doing quarterly mailers to your Sphere database. And then what systems are you leveraging to make sure that this stuff stays automated and consistent?
Yeah. So we have one planning meeting at the beginning of the year. And I say we, me, my assistant, and then now the girl that we just brought on to kind of do part-time marketing stuff to kind of plan out the year. And then we'll do a quarterly touch base that's already on the calendar for the year. And then from there, we will plan out like the first week in March, these need to be planned. The second, they need to be ordered. The third week, they need to be executed. So that's already planned out through the entire year, whether that's the mailer, the referral pop buys, Christmas cards. I'm trying to think of other things. Like I said, social, I do every Monday afternoon. So it's all on the calendar, hopefully with the intention that that is a scheduled time that is not moved. Mm-hmm. It's treated just like an appointment.
Well, and it's treated like lead generation. And I think so often we see the words lead generation on our calendar and we get the hives because we think that means pick up the phone and call 100 people in the next 30 seconds, right? Versus your lead generation is making sure that your touch points go out or that you're touching your clients with CMAs and that sort of thing so that they actually have a reason to talk to you of value, not just like you said, it's, are you looking to buy or sell today? They actually have that touch plan. One thing we talked about before our call today was the pre-showing inventory. So when you think about the clients that you're working with, again, going back to systems, walk us through with your current clients that you're showing property to, because at 86 transactions and one person, that's a lot of sprinting in my opinion. So tell us how you streamline that process.
Great question. This is something I get asked about a lot. Specifically on the buy side, which we're probably, I think we were end of the year, 60% buyers, 40% sellers of last year. We do what's called a showing prep email. So before our clients ever go into a property, they get a full rundown from us of that property. It starts with just the disclosures and uploads that any listing agent will do in MLS. We then deep dive a step further. So we review all those, call out noteworthy points in the email. We look at flood maps. We look at development maps, especially where I am. There's a lot of apartment complexes going up and whatnot. Flight maps, all of the things that they would want to know, or we listened and their buyer consult was important to them, because if something comes up that we know is a deal breaker, we just won't go see the house. And the third piece of that email is a numbers analysis. And y'all know numbers are all over the place right now. So if it's $100,000 overpriced, maybe we say, hey, let's not go see it until Tuesday, because if somebody's willing to pay that much over the weekend, like, let's just not even waste our time. Oftentimes, this saves time by doing two things. One, if there's something in there that doesn't sit right with the buyer, they'll cancel their showing. And it's a lot easier for me to send that email or Mary Jo to send that email than drive 30 minutes across town, open the door, come to find out there's a train track in the backyard, and why did we even go? And then two, if everything checks out perfectly and the email's great, the numbers are great, and then the showing goes great, we can talk offers right there at the car before we drive away. And I'm calling Mary Jo, my assistant, on the way back to the office going, here's the terms for the offer. We go ahead and get them written up. It's not, hey, let me look at the numbers and get back to you. And another thing added to the to-do list. We've got all the data and information we need right then and there, ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. And two, thinking about when this was something else you mentioned, that you're going back further than just this listing. So in our state, sellers can disclose as no representation, or they have no knowledge of the property. And so I know you mentioned that you go back even further in old listings to look for potential deterrents to showing the property.
Yes.
And make sure that they're away. Like, how old is the roof? Oh, I don't know. But then you go 3 listings back and you see that it was put on in 2001.
Exactly. And that was harder when MLS changed over and documents went away, but they're back, which is nice. And I know we talked about this, Debbie. If something sold between 2020 and 2022, I'm just going to go ahead and prep my clients that there's been no repairs that have been done to that house, because you guys know, y'all were in it at that time. Everything sold as is. And unless we have a awesome seller who actually went back and looked at their inspection report, which is like a 2% chance, we know that we're probably getting ourselves into something that hasn't been touched since it's sold before. And the other nice thing about it is that you have a little bit more protection, especially if it's the same listing agent who represented them on the buy side in 2020 to 2022. Because if there was a major foundation issue or something, that agent has to disclose it. So again, it's just it can be a reassurance, but it can also be a forewarning for buyers.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought process too, like really considering what we did and as agents in that timeline where I'm sure many of you had homes, they didn't even do the inspection, right? They bought it and they took it for what it was and they walked away. And so, you're looking at that too, saying, one, did they even have an inspection? Two, if they did, are they disclosing those pertinent pieces of information and just prepping your buyer for that? I think that's great. We have a question here. Allie said, are you sending out 5 separate emails subject per property, or is it in a bulk email?
Great question. So if it's our first time out and we're seeing 5, I create a Google Doc. And that shared Google Doc is where everything lives. Well, I'll have a column for call outs. I'll have a column for numbers. And then I actually create a column for notes and force them to get involved by putting their thoughts after the showing into the shared Google Doc. It's also helpful because if they say they don't like something and then you end up working with them for 6 months, you can kind of point back to the beginning and remind them of what was most important. But the goal is you only show 5 properties right out the gate, right? So anything after that, yes, it's just one showing email of, hey, here's what you can expect on today's showing.
And it also gives you that ability to say, hey, do you remember on this property you didn't like that? And that's what this home has. So
exactly.
I'm not going to go see it. Yeah.
Right. Right. We don't need to waste your time is how I put it. But I mean, we all know.
Ashley asked, does Mary Jo pull this information for the showing prep email? She said she does the same, but boy, does it take time.
It can take a lot of time. At first, no, I did it all. Then Mary Jo started to trickle in. Now, pretty much, yes. I'll book a showing and Mary Jo will know this needs to go out to this client. The great thing about that is twofold. One, I don't have to do it and it takes a lot of time, right? And 2, I don't even have to really look at the property if I'm running all day long and just flying by the seat of my pants to the showing. I've got all the information I need right in front of me. So I'll look through all that before I walk into the house and I look like I've done all this research on the house when really she's hit the highlights of exactly what we need to know and coach our clients on.
And I love too the thought process around it. And I say this all the time, we don't show homes, we write offers. And so often we show up and we show homes because we don't have the necessary information at hand. And then we can't write offers until we go home and process again. So
totally. And I mean,
write offers.
The client is so appreciative because they've got everything that they need. Again, you're not wasting their time if they want to write an offer. They don't have to wait around and be anxious about the terms and whatever. It's go time. And Rachel, you asked, does the email come from Mary Jo or me? Typically, she'll send it as me. Sometimes it'll come as Mary Jo. At this point, most of our clients know we're the same person. It just depends on the situation. My setup with her is interesting, though. Can I speak on that, Debbie?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that question. Yep. Go ahead.
So she is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. She gets 1 flex day a month, but she then works 1 weekend a month. So hopefully the goal is for me to get away and take a brain break. That's exactly the way that I explain it to my clients. But of course, if she's showing that weekend, the email will always come from her because they need to have a sense of trust that she knows what she's talking about too. And then if she puts a buyer under contract on my weekend off, which I'm not great at, but we're working on it, then she gets a bonus at closing.
Well, and I'd love for you to expand a little bit with, and this is a good segue into your 2025 goals. Still similar goals. Allie has high goals, and I'll let you take it from there for 2025 and systems you've put into place for 2025.
84 last year was the total number. I think the goal at the end of the year was like 60. I am expecting my first, which is really exciting, but Debbie's given me the challenge and the grace to be able to back off a little bit. So our goal this year is 40 units individually, and I actually set a referral goal as well. So I've got 20 referrals that I hope to give out within my office this year. And I did that intentionally because if I didn't write it down and make it a goal for myself, I would have never done it. Like all of you guys, I'm sure you love your clients. You want to keep your little chicks close and take good care of them, but trying to release control a little bit. So whether that goes to another agent in the office or if Mary Jo wants to take them on, who is expecting and due the week after me, she can do that as well.
Yes, see all kinds of surprises on this call. Allie and I were talking about on a call how to tell Mary Jo that she was pregnant. And so Allie sat her down and said, hey, I need to share this. I need to have a meeting with you. And she said, well, me too, because I'm pregnant. And Allie texts me from the parking lot.
You could see she went totally white and she was like, what are we going to do? And I was like, it's fine. Like, what have we never figured out before? And then I left the meeting and was like, Debbie, we ought to regroup.
Well, when you think about that, because I have several agents on this call who could leverage some referral goal, right? Mm-hmm. Or structure a referral goal. How are you structuring that, like you said, with agents in your office versus hiring an agent for your team? What's your thought process around that?
Great question. And all credit goes to you for helping me kind of work through this. I think it's going to be client-based. And like I said, I feel like everybody on this call is very similar in that like we establish really good, deep relationships so we know our clients best. If it's a super high maintenance luxury client who needs the best of the best, my conversation with them is, I'm going to get help from the agent that I would use if I was not in the business. And sometimes I'll say a name, sometimes I won't. And they just know that they have that reassurance. We've kind of set a target with my average price point and whatever, anything under $450. This agent that we've hired on kind of part-time Monday, Wednesday, Friday, is going to be a really good asset for us. She's willing to take on a little more come summertime. So she is shadowing me on showings now, getting to know kind of how Parker Residential does things. And we'll kind of take and run with those. And then, of course, y'all don't need to hear this because you're here for a reason and but it means a lot when other agents, especially newer agents, take the initiative. So I had one reach out to me, take me to coffee last week and be like, I'll split anything you need 50-50. And I'm like, great. Like, let's create a partnership. Let's rock and roll. And she's like, I don't care what price point. I don't care where it is, whatever. I just want to be helpful and I want to learn from you. And that meant a lot. And that was something I felt like, just like Allie and Rachel and Liz and all these people, when they first got started, we were like that. So that tells me that that's probably a really good fit if I'm in a pinch come May.
Other systems. So we talked about training your vendors. And again, some of you may have heard this. I use the acronym for systems that says save yourself sanity, time, energy, and money. So a system is anything that saves you sanity, and in that order, sanity, time, energy, and money. And so that's what Allie and I look at. So systems, training your vendors as a system. How have you implemented that?
So a couple different ways. Debbie and I were talking about this yesterday. I guess maybe it's not as popular in her market, but when the appraisal comes back, like my lenders know I want to see a copy of that. So when they send over the appraisal to their clients, they're saying, hey, can I get your permission to share with Allie? Additionally, like when we go under contract on something, we've got templated emails for everything, but I'll CC in, hey, here's the lender's contact information. Here's the paralegal's contact information. Here's the listing agent's contact information. Everybody's emailed on this or CC'd on this email, go. And because it's insurance and lender and attorney, they've all worked together enough now that like we're a well-oiled machine. I've trained them to kind of work together too. And at the end of the day, that makes it so much better for clients too, because we're all doing everything behind the scenes. And I tell them, hey, look, we're going to bring you all the pertinent and necessary information. We can make recommendations, but at the end of the day, it's your educated decision based on the information that we provide as a team.
And that was, I thought, was interesting because what we were talking about, and I don't know if any of you bumped into this, again, back in 2020 to 2022-ish, we were throwing properties on the market so fast and we were battling COVID. Some of them weren't being measured or measured correctly. They were using Matterport. And that's something that's shown up in our market several times where the Matterport measurements aren't actual square footage of the home. And so buyers now are going to list their home, come to find out that their home is 200 square feet smaller than what they thought it was when they purchased it because they bought it based on a Matterport. And now they're taking the hit on the sale. And so what Allie and I were talking about is at what point do you have your buyers start checking as like a professional services disclosure, having your buyers confirm square footage? Because again, it's like, are they, in different markets do it different ways? Are they basing it on an actual floor plan that you can pull from an old listing? And that goes back to the prep for the showings, right? Are you pulling an actual floor plan from an older listing? Are you confirming that the square footage is the same from previous listings? And that sort of thing. And what she was talking about too was how this relationship, she said, oh, well, I've trained my lenders. I see the appraisal. And so as a buyer's agent, she's double checking the appraisal against the square footage listed in MLS. Mm-hmm. And so just that one little way. And I said, well, gosh, I don't even see the appraisals. And that's where she said, well, you need to train your attorneys. I hear, yes, it came in, thumbs up, or no, it didn't, thumbs down. Like that's what I get right there. And so just looking at something as small as that when you're within those inspection periods, I know for North Carolina, you have due diligence periods, so they would lose the money, but still it is an ability to now have a conversation around renegotiations before that time lines up. So I thought that was really interesting.
I'm going to add in on that too. You're giving me too much credit. Again, that's a Mary Jo thing. So like Mary Jo knows when she gets the appraisal to double check those things because it's on her base camp checklist of 226 items of she has to do when somebody is under contract. So if you haven't started your own checklists for different stages, I mean, we add stuff literally weekly. That's why it's up to 226 things and half of them won't even matter, but we're not letting anything slip through the cracks.
Is that something you'd be willing to share? I'm putting out on the top.
Yes. A lot of it is like stupid jargon that I don't even know if people can understand, but generally speaking.
Yeah, Allie's code talk for growing a successful real estate business. Right. Let's spend a little time on scale. So one of the key areas where you've been successful is scaling through your networking and being on boards and being part of organizations. And that's something that I've spoken to a lot of agents about. Because again, and I hate to keep going back to it, but we got into a place where we weren't really growing our database. And so we had, small to large databases. And what's interesting is as we're looking back, a large percentage of them transacted. And so now we're relying on referrals. So networking is something that you've really doubled down on to continue to grow. Share a little bit about that process and where you're placing yourself to continue to elevate your sales price and be more productive.
Less busy now than I was when I first got into the business. Just time is money. But I got involved in literally everything. I mean, everything from the local YMCA boards to I was chair of the Young Professionals Board for the YMCA of the Triangle. Now I got involved with the local Town of Cary Greenways Committee. I've gotten business from pretty much every organization I've ever been in, whether it be a referral or a volunteer event or a board or position or whatever. And again, I never lead with I'm in real estate. I always tell people, just start asking questions about others. They naturally ask about you at some point. It might not be the first meeting or whatever, but you're going to get business better that way because you're not shoving it down their throat. But people see the good work that you're doing and that you're involved in other things and know that you're more than just, sadly, what a lot of real estate agents are thought of, which is gimme.
Well, and I think too, by cultivating these relationships, you're not only entering into the lives of the people you're impacting, it is that referral opportunity. And I look at where can we go to be involved with people that have money, right? And one of Allie's key focuses was increasing her average sales price. And so it is joining organizations that you're passionate about, but then also be targeted in that as well, you know. And the YMCA was great for what it is. It's a great organization. And then you go, okay, what's a different business networking opportunity that I can get involved in that isn't full of 1,000 realtors for sure.
Right. Well, even from that too, Deming, it was a different organization that I was involved in, and they ended up needing to buy a property they house working individuals in the area. And it was a super low price point. We ended up helping them secure something that they could use for their organization. But that then kind of put my name out there in front of their board, which are their biggest donors, which then leads to other types of business too. So I always say, yes, I'm trying to increase my average price point. And sometimes you've got to do the little stuff to get the big stuff. And as long as you're servicing everybody the same, it's going to naturally grow on its own.
One thing I like to talk about are difference makers. So what are differentiators that you're utilizing when you're going on appointments, sellers and buyers? I know we talked a little bit about the buyer pre-showing packet that you're sending out. What are some difference makers that you've layered into your business called over the last year that's setting you apart in a very competitive market? Because Raleigh there's probably like a gazillion real estate agents in Raleigh, right? Raleigh people. How are you setting yourself apart?
I think this goes back to thinking outside the box always. And again, thinking about the client. There's not one thing that I go into a listing appointment saying, this is what I always do to win this or whatever, secure the client. But like I'll share the past 2 listing appointments I went on. The most recent one, it's a beautiful house. It's got a lot going for it, but it is a crayon box of a house. I mean, there's purple, there's green, there's orange in every single bedroom. And I'm like, oh, Lord, if I'm going to sell this house, I'm doing 6% because it's going to take a lot of work. And they want to list around when I'm due, whatever. So we had a follow-up meeting. They had narrowed it down to 3 agents. The other 2 agents were offering 4.5% and 5%. And they said, will you come down? And I said, thought about this and I won't. I'm going to stick at 6%, but I'll cover your interior paint. And here's why I think that's important. And showed them the bottom line on what I thought they could get more based on an interior paint. And lo and behold, they chose to move forward with us at 6%, 1.5% and 1% higher than the other 2, just because we had value. And I was able to speak to their fears of not being able to sell because of that when they truly didn't want to paint from the get-go and weren't planning on investing any money in that. So that was kind of an individualized way of thinking about things. The other one that I went on, again, this is playing into the listing that you're trying to market. I knew who I was up against, and they were 2 older, established men in the neighborhood, which is nothing wrong with that. They have great records. We've all 3 sold in the neighborhood very well. There was a reason we were at the appointments, but the people that they were going to be selling their home to were my stage of life people, right? So the people who are going to be looking at the house were those with children, those who were younger professionals. So we kind of talked about that. And at the end of the day, they ended up moving forward with us because who would the buyer rather purchase the home from? Who's going to market it in a way that's going to reach that target market? So differentiators, I think, come down to knowing who you're talking to as much as you know the property you're talking about.
Have you layered in, just like you were saying, the paint? Are there specific things that you layer into your cost of doing business when you're going to your different appointments in order to secure listings?
I mean, nothing outside of, I'm sure, what everybody else does, the photography and the videography and the measurements and all of that. Do I always cover an interior paint? Obviously, no. In the listing appointment, I typically ask, tell me a little bit about what you've set aside to prep the home for the market. If they say $0, you know what you're up against. If they say 20,000, you know what you're up against. And at that point, you use your deductive reasoning and your tour to figure out what's going to be the best use of that money, rather than leading with, well, you need to do this, this, and this. Try and be respectful of what they're coming to the table with and expecting from you. That's another one of my favorite things, especially if I know I'm interviewing for a listing, is asking them, what do you expect to do to prepare for the house, or have you set aside a budget for it? But also, what do you expect in an agent? And I leave and write that down because everybody's expectations are different. Some people want a phone call every single day. Some people don't want to see you until the closing table. And so again, it goes back to knowing the person that you're talking to as much as you know the property. You want to be able to deliver them exactly what they're expecting of you.
And I love how you pinged on knowing the target audience of the buyer, right? Because so often we could go in that same instance and it's the two older gentlemen realtors and the husband and wife older couple selling their home, and they relate more to the older gentleman, right? Yeah. And so bringing that back reel that back and have that conversation of your target buyer for this property is X. This is what I do to target that caliber or that demographic of buyer, and tie that into your marketing strategies. Again, you guys are in a big tech medical area. And so what are you doing then to attract buyers in those arenas and that sort of thing? So I think there's something to be said for bringing it back to the seller for your ideal target buyer. I shared this the other day at a presentation that I made. I was speaking with an agent out in California, and I asked him, what he's done to scale his business or what's helped in scaling. And his response was that they had to realize that it used to be wealthy older people, and then it became generational wealth, and now it's new wealth. And so what are we doing to be an attractor to new wealth where we're not looking at mom and dad or handing down the money so mom and dad get to pick the realtor? Part of that has come into with some of their marketing strategies being a little more, not edgy, but proactive, more social presence, younger buyer's agents, because he's not as young as he used to be. And so building the team with younger agents and that sort of thing too.
And you can be as systematized as you want to be. I mean, we've got systems out the wazoo, but the systems change a little bit when we're marketing a 55 plus community versus, the first time home buyer townhome.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny when Allie and I were talking about doing the masterclass here, we were talking about how she's very systematized. And she's like, I don't know that I'm systematized. I'm like, Allie, everything you do has a system. Like there is a system for getting up in the morning and going for your run and eating your breakfast. Like Allie is one of the most systematized, automated is what I would say, more than systematized, automated agents that I know, which as we know, automations equate to increased time back.
Yes. Unless there's 6 inches of snow on the ground and everything's just blowing up in your face.
Yes, and your kids are at home and all the things. Yes. Yeah, we got canceled for rain. There's no snow here, but we're still canceled. And then we've got Brooke and Ariel out in Seattle who are like, what are they talking about? Like they canceled for snow?
You guys are, I don't know how you do it. I'm ready for it to melt and it's been here for 10 hours.
All that. So thinking about your business and what you've done over the last 5 years, what else would you share to agents who are maybe hitting a ceiling on where they are or want to take their business to the next level, more transactions, higher sales price, anything you'd like to tackle that way?
I'll hit on 2 things that came to mind when you asked that question. The first, and we kind of got talking about this, I guess it was 2 coaching calls ago. I often tell agents, especially female agents like you guys, when you first get in the business, everything's real estate. It kind of has to be so that people associate you with being a real estate agent. And I shared this with my office at a talk recently, but at some point it starts to work and you become like Allie, the real estate agent, Allie, the real estate agent. And then you go to dinner with your friends and it's like, how's the market? How's the client? Like all of these things. And then you start to think of yourself as Allie, the real estate agent. And I think it's really important to not get to a point where you forget who Allie is as Allie, not just the real estate agent. I got to a point end of 2023, even beginning of 2024, where I was like, I don't know who I am outside of being real estate. And that's a scary point to be at. And so don't ever get to that point. And part of the way to not get to that point is to hire, even when you feel like you can continue to do everything on your own. Debbie literally wouldn't work with me until I hired somebody and coached me through all of that. And I am scared to do another hire because the first one was so good. But that is worth every penny. I mean, had I not hired Mary Jo when I did, I would be burnout. I would be out of this business. I would have not been able to scale the way that I wanted to. So even if it's part-time help or transaction coordination or full-time help, whatever it is, Debbie can help you figure that out. But it's not just about the money when it comes to that point. It's about your mental well-being.
I love that. So I have to share too. So I asked Allie, this was the end of last year, and we were talking about building her team. And I said, Allie, on a scale of 0 to 10, where are you on your second hire? Because we learned that she was pregnant and all the things. And she said, I said 0 being like not even an idea, not even thinking about not doing it, period. And 10 being, let's go ahead and get the process rolling. I need somebody tomorrow. She said to me 0.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I chuckled. And now she has her second.
That was like 2 months ago. So
Yeah. So it is interesting how, like you said, what was interesting that I heard her say is her fear was not doing it as well as she had done it in the first time. Because Mary Jo was a really great hire. Oftentimes it's like, my fear is I'm going to hire that person that I hired the first time and they were horrible, right? But her concern was, I'm not going to hire as well. And you definitely have hired. What else would you say as far as building and scaling a business? Lead generation strategies, other systems, staying in the business?
A lot of you guys do this better than I do, but social media is so easy and it's such a good lead generation tactic, and you don't have to spend a penny on it. It just takes consistency. So hashtags work. That is like between TikTok, which I'm not on, Instagram, like that's how people from around the nation search for things. So setting aside an hour of Monday afternoon to do 3 posts for the week will service you and get you clients this year. Additionally, and I told this to Allie Buscemi recently, some client in the past like wrote this awesome, weird Reddit post about me. And I had no idea. I'm not a Reddit person, but I think I've gotten like 4 or 5 clients off of that one post. So if you can kind of rig the system and find somebody who's willing to do that, just get creative and unique about those type of things. I remember when I first got into the business, I was like desperate to find clients and created these relocation packets that looked so official. Here I am, this like 24-year-old or 26-year-old person. Like I have no idea what being hired by a corporation looks like. But I met with the HR people and I was like, hey, like if you have interviews coming in that just need a tour of the area, let me know. I think I got 4 clients off of that. I'm a big proponent on doing the easy things, but also the things that you're going to enjoy. Because yes, you have to do all the things you don't want to do, but when it comes to lead generation, it's not going to work unless you like it. So go out and be clever and unique and do the things that you like and focus on those instead of trying to force yourself to do the things you don't want to do, like cold calling. Like Debbie said, that's just not me.
I love it. Focus on those areas where you can see quick success. I have more questions, but I want to turn it over to those of you that are watching too for questions for Allie. So give you just a couple minutes if you want to either come off mute or throw something in the chat. So Allie, with your upcoming pregnancy or your upcoming baby, we should say, what does that look like for time off for you and leverage? And you talked a little bit about your referral goal versus your actual goal. Tell us how you've streamlined and positioned that. And then if you guys have questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat or come off mute.
Yeah, please ask me other questions because this question stresses me out. I haven't figured that out completely yet. Obviously, I'll be utilizing some really good referral partners to kind of take it and roll with it. It's silly. Y'all know some clients will be like, how much time are you taking off? And it's like, we're in real estate. What does that even mean? Right. But I will say, like, I have to write out, again, me and my stupid little 1-pager. Like, I put my goal is to sell 1 home in May. So, like, I'm giving myself the visual permission to chill. And that way, once that home's under contract, I can say I've hit my goal. Because like a lot of you guys, I'm sure you're very goal motivated too. And could we do more? Probably yes. But sometimes our goal needs to be to chill out and let things happen. That's as far as we're going to go into that because everything else just like makes me emotional.
Well, and we were talking about this on our call this week because we were looking at, where is she currently because we're basing our, not Q1, it's now through the end of April. Like that's the timeline we're looking at for all front loading the year. And I said, and it looks like 1 for May, 1 for June, 2 for July. And I said, but don't forget, we also have a referral goal. So that doesn't give her permission to stop working now because she's got her 1 for May on the board. It's okay, where are we going to find the 5? Because that's the number behind the 1. Where are we going to find the 5 that we're going to refer out such that you have commissions coming in? So it is always looking at the pipeline and not feeling like, okay, I've checked the box. I got my 1 for May, Debbie. Think I'm good till June. Because she did set those referral goals as well, moving forward to continue to drive the business too. Because again, you don't want to slow the business down in a market where there's still opportunity. What are you seeing as your greatest market challenge?
Unrealistic buyers, which is I'm sure everybody's dealing with. But I mean, inventory is still a problem, right? I'm sure we all have a pipeline of buyers right now that you're just like itching to show something that's not a piece of crap. Granted, that's changing naturally with the time of year, which is great. I will say one strength is leaning into the leverage of your relationships with other agents in your office of their upcoming listings. Because buyers go on Zillow right now and don't see anything that they want, they love even more knowing what's coming, even if they can't see it until it's on the market. So make friends with other agents, get those properties, put them in front of buyers. That's one way we're tackling their kind of impatience with what they're seeing out. All right, Allie, what you got?
Well, one comment first. Just wanted to say regarding your plan after that, it's okay to see how you feel too, because you might want to take 3 months and refer it all out and just like nestle up and enjoy your life. Or you might be like, oh my God, I'm so desperate to go show a house. And both are totally okay. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Plan later too.
I need that permission. So thank you.
Yeah. And both options are totally fine. See how you feel. But my question, what do you think what would your clients say about you? Like a couple words or phrases of why your clients love you so much and refer you so much and sing your praises. Like what buzzwords would they say about you? Like, do you see any themes in your reviews or words that you hear that have kind of become your personal brands that people become so raving about your business? What do you think it is?
That's a great question. And it's honestly a good one for me to write down and go and reflect. I think one theme that I see from reviews and feedback is proactivity. So making sure people know what's coming before it's coming. Right. So instead of it's 3 days before closing and the utilities haven't been changed yet, as soon as due diligence is up, we're not just sending in the utility like, hey, change your utilities. It's like, here's the link to set up your new energy account. Right. And trying to get to them before they get to you. Similarly, like when inspection gets back, we've got a templated email. We're ready to roll. You've got 4 categories. Follow-ups that are needed or quotes that are needed, what we recommend asking for, questions for the seller, and then things like, let's just put those to the side as a to-do list and focus on the bigger fish to fry. I, at the inspection, say, you will get this email from us. It might not be immediately when the inspection's back, but we kind of, somebody at the office pointed this out to me, we kind of train our clients to know what's next. So one, they aren't consistently like for asking about it. And 2, it reassures them that like everything's on track, right? Like similarly, when it comes to listings, we have a shared Google Drive for feedback. If they get a showing request, they know that showing's going to go in the Google Drive. If there's feedback, it will be in that showing tracker. Don't call me, don't text me, don't follow up to see if we've gotten anything. Like I promise it will be there. So setting the expectation and then them knowing what's coming and being proactive about it is probably our number one theme of feedback.
That's great. That takes anxiety away from people.
Yes, that's the goal, right? It also takes the anxiety away from me.
Those of you on the call with assistants, how did you roll a lot of this out to Mary Jo with training and building of systems? Did she just come in all knowing and she put you in place?
She did have experience before, which was super helpful. But most of what she was doing before was like an agent role instead of an admin. I have a 30, 60, 90 plan. Those, if anybody's with KW, you know all about that. But it's truly like, here's what needs to happen in the first 30 days. And then we're going to have a touch base and see how you're feeling and how I'm feeling. And then here's what needs to happen in the second 60 days. And that can be anything from you need to be trained up on this system to you need to have met for coffee with 3 different other assistants to see how they're doing things. So the expectations on training are very clear up front because I'm looking at my calendar going, okay, spring markets come in for Mary Jo when she goes out on leave by this date, or else we're all out of flux. So writing things down, creating 30, 60, 90 plans holds them accountable, but also holds you accountable.
Yeah, and staying on top of that, right? It's easy to give the plan. It's just, are we staying on top of it and circling back? And I know several of you like to go on vacations that are on the call. And it's the same thing with either your team agents or your administrative assistants, creating that plan for And Brooke Davis and I talk about what level of vacation are we on and what's included in that vacation for the team members and for the administrative assistants. And the same with you, with both of you going out on maternity leave at the same time, your new assistant has to be up to speed. And that's what I told Allie, I said, by April 1st, right? We have to, what if something happens and one of you are now on bed rest? So we have to have everyone up to speed on that piece too. Well, you mentioned something.
Question back.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I call on Brooke? Because Debbie told me about your levels of vacation yesterday and my mind was blown and I love it. Can you talk about that?
Thanks for bringing me up here on the mic. And gosh, Allie, I'm just enthralled with everything you've said. Like, I want to get some of these systems down. It's really cool. I love how you're using the Google Doc. But taking vacations, as we just talked about, is really important. So I like to break it down into 3 different levels. So level 3, I actually just went to Japan, and that was level 3. I was in a different time zone. I was off the radar. All of my clients knew that they needed to reach out to someone else. I'm not that person. And so that just means you can be kind of off the grid. Now, we probably don't do that all the time. We don't always need that, right? Like that's, I actually hadn't done that in 5 years. So then level 2 would be, I'm going somewhere and I'm telling all my clients in advance, here's someone that's going to be covering, I'm still checking in, probably once a day. I still know what's going on. When emergencies pop up, I'm still around, obviously. But I am going to be out of town. And then level 1 is like you just go somewhere for the weekend. And it's pretty simple. I mean, everyone, needs a day off. It kind of sounded a little bit along the lines of like, what you do, where you said you need that brain break. So level 1 is just simply a brain break, whether it's just, going to a family reunion for one day or taking the day off to go skiing or, whatever it is, that you're just taking a break from real estate for that day. And you can have confidence that you have systems in place to cover that, but you don't have to go to each and every one of your clients and tell them, that you're going to be gone, right? So defining those levels kind of just helps me feel at peace, moving on to take a day off.
I was obsessed with that. So I hope that helps somebody else too.
Well, and I think too, it helps your team understand, right? So your team now has an idea of, and Ariel on the call here is Brooke's team member, so she knows, depending on the level, what level of responsibility she has with clients, with listings that are on the board, with showings, because some of their listings require the listing agent to be present. They do some new construction. So I think it also, when you can be that clear with your team members, it enables them to know how to show up. And it's like, okay, so is Brooke showing up on the one-on-one call today, or is it Ariel and Beck? And so it is just looking at it. And the same for the team members, they get the same opportunity for vacations. And so where's Brooke showing up differently for Ariel's clients and that sort of thing? So I think when you can start to define, and that is a system, right? When you can start to define those pieces, I think it definitely helps propel your team forward, because there's no misunderstanding of, oh my gosh, she takes a brain break every Friday. Well, if the expectation is every Friday, I take a brain break, and Brooke, world-class skier and cyclist here, like Tour de France level, she has to be away from her phone for periods of time to train. And so it is that, how do I just turn it over and then turn it back on when I'm back on? But she's still lead generating because she's with her people, right, Brooke?
Totally. And I think that's where I'm trying to get better, is systematizing my personal life. Like I ran my first marathon at the end of 2023 and told myself, okay, my long training runs are Saturday mornings. I'm not going to show before 1 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and tell my clients, like, hey, I am training for a marathon. I will not have my phone it's on Do Not Disturb that morning. Like, if you want to see something on a Saturday, it'll be after 1. And I was so scared to tell people that. But like, I've just kept it going ever since, because people think it's cool, right? It's relatable. It's something about you that's not real estate. And they respect that. And it's not like I'm not available. It's just, let's go after 1.
That goes back to that Allie outside of real estate, not Allie is real estate.
Exactly.
And you're just on this eternal marathon training.
Exactly. Not a second one in 2024, but clearly things changed. So
I do it with a jogging stroller.
Oh, yeah.
With Allie, all things are possible.
Debbie's thing, I just wanted to circle back on and comment on that. Allie and you, of course, were grossly helpful with me. I hired a full-time assistant a year ago. I had someone working with me prior to that, and I didn't have any coach help me do it. I kind of brought them on an informal capacity. And we had a great personal relationship, but the structure wasn't there for the business relationship. And it was tough. And I had a really hard time going back on what I was paying that person. And it became really painful. And this time around, with the guidance of Debbie and Allie being so gracious to share kind of her setup, you're so good at it, Allie, with it's very professional and very formal in its, structure, right? Like the relationship is not that. You are so approachable and wonderful. And that's why you have such a killer business. But that's been such a huge help for me. Like, I feel like that's how you keep good help. You have those systems in place to check in, to find out, are they doing what was asked? Is something not working well? And vice versa. They deserve the right to tell you. And you need to give them the opportunity to do that, right? Like with 3690 reviews or yearly reviews. So anyways, I just wanted to tap into that. You do a really good job with that. And it's been hugely helpful to me.
And ask for the feedback too from your assistant, right? Go into it saying, this is a review of you, but I've got 20 questions that I want to ask you about how I'm doing. And if they don't feel comfortable, send them to Debbie and she'll be the middleman.
And that too. Well, and two, you look at Rachel's situation where she's got a rock star assistant who now also wants to do some sales. Not that she doesn't want to make it. She came into it thinking she wanted to do more than she actually does. But how are we feathering some of that in to get her some sales on the board this year, as well as running her current role as the administrative assistant and doing it, same thing. We layered in the 1 week in a month and certain price points or certain geographical areas to where then now Kendall goes and takes some of those for Rachel. And it just frees Rachel up to do some different duties within the business. So I always say, we read these books and there's like one way to have a team. And in my opinion, there is no one way to have a team. And, fortunately, we're all women on this call. So I'll say this openly. I mean, we are not just women on the call. We're just a lot of us wives and with very special husbands. And we have, some of us have children and we have nephews and we have careers and we have hobbies and we have all the things. And so it is about, it's not one size fits all. So if you have an assistant that's licensed and they can help out a little bit and that's what they want to do, then do. And if not, then keep them in their lane as well. And so that's part of it too. It's like, you need to create an environment that people can continue to grow in. And when the people around you can no longer grow, that's when they leave. But as long as you're continuing to provide an opportunity for them to grow, then they'll stay with you. And
or not grow, Debbie. I had to learn that too.
Yes. Some people just don't want to grow. Some people don't have the natural desire. They're good. They're just good. They just want their raise. They want their 2% raise and they're fine. And that's okay. What other questions do you guys have for Allie? Well, I hope this has been helpful. Give it like 30 seconds. I hope this has been helpful. Next month, we have actually our beautiful Allie Buscemi. We're doing back-to-back Allies. Allie Buscemi is going to come and talk to us. She has built an amazing referral network where it's from agents outside of the area migrating into her area. As well as a master of Instagram. So as you can see her name on the screen, or Allie, throw it in the chat how they can all follow you on Instagram. She's fun. She's funny. She'll tell you all about the cats and how home buying really, really exists in the world of real estate. But truly has built a business on networking with agents outside the area, putting on events for them, sending them gifts, that sort of thing. So she's going to come and share her tips to growing her business outside of the area versus more so in the area. She has recently moved from New York, so didn't come with a huge sphere to the Raleigh market as well. And be excited to see. I have a super dumb viral reel out right now. Is that your snow one?
Yes, it has like 30,000 views. I've got like hundreds of local followers from it.
I thought it was perfect. I actually watched it 4 or 5 times yesterday. It was hilarious. And just the music and just, I know Allie too. So you walking out of your office as we see like the basketball hoop behind you, like this is really how you ladies live. Like there's no virtual background. So kids at home probably clawing at the door behind you. But well, thank you guys so much for coming. It's so great to see you. Thank you for interacting. Allie Parker, thank you for your wisdom and sharing that with us. And I hope all of you have a few ideas to go back and implement into your business. And until next time, be productive and know that greatness is ahead.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you, Allie. Bye.